Alright, you ready for the fun part? Just got my parts for the John Deere corn planter, the 24 row 7200 corn planter. What I'm going to be doing is pretty simple. I'm going to take all of these bits and pieces out of here and put them on the table, count them out, and just check the inventory because there's just so much stuff that needs to be done. Now, there's a few things that I'm not sure whether I got them all or not, but that's why you have to do these things. There is an invoice right there, and I will definitely be using that. All new Keaton seed firmers. This is very important. This guy right here is super important because that's what I'm going to be putting my starter on with. And as you can see, it has a splitter of some sort. I'm going to have to open that up and take a quick look at that. It's either a plug or it's a splitter, but I'm pretty sure it's a plug. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out. Okay, so it is not a plug, it is actually a splitter, which will put the liquid starter on the sidewall of the trench, or right down the sides, not directly placing it on the seed, which to me, I don't really care too much. As long as it gets it down where it belongs, I don't care. I'd much rather it be on the sidewall and then it'll crumble, you know, it'll crumble it'll crumble the soil and everything around the fluid that I put down there. I'm not using a commercial fertilizer as a starter fertilizer. It's different. I'll tell you what it is when I do it. Okay, so the rebuild will begin. The rebuild on the bale, or not the baler, the corn planter will begin. So let's recap what I got. I bought a 7200 John Deere corn planter. And let's take a walk out there and I will show you what it is, and then I will show you what I've bought. Okay, so here is this behemoth beast. The behemoth beast. Yeah, the behemoth beast. It really is big. Yeah, it is very large. When this opens up, it is 60 feet wide. Right now, as it sits, it is about 45 feet long. So it's going to be a bit tricky to get into a couple of the fields that I have, which is no big deal, because right there is a 12 row that we will be using to do the tricky farms. Both of these corn planters will be in the field working, hopefully at the same time. Hopeful that I can get somebody hired that can support that tank right there, to put fertilizer in. It's a 500 gallon tank. I believe it's 500. It should be 500 gallons. Yeah, it's 550 gallon tank. And what will go in there will be my starter pop-up solution, which is not a commercial. It isn't commercial fertilizer. I'm not going to use commercial fertilizer. I'm going to use a combination of the secret sauce and fish and a calcium product. I don't need the calcium product really per se. Not sure if I'm actually going to use the calcium product or not, but I may or may not. It's up to me when I get to it. So there's a few issues here that I don't like. They used a starter fertilizer, obviously, and they never cleaned it up because there's some issues there. There's a whole bunch of little plastic tubes and crap that are all strewn throughout this thing. And I really need to, excuse me, get this thing hooked up to a tractor and actually, hooked up to a tractor and actually tested, see if it opens and closes properly, see if the markers open and close, and go out and down, up and down or whatnot. This does have the good truck tires on it. It does. They're like a steering axle tire for a truck, like a 550 or something like that. At least that's the tread design. They're probably not. They're probably just made for this corn planter. So anyway, so what will I be doing to this corn planter? Obviously, right here, there is an issue. Right here. I have no down pressure at all for these units. I have no down pressure for these units. This was a conventional till. It had springs that went from here to here on both sides. They were just a conventional till. I am replacing all of the chains, all of the openers. I will be saving the openers. Yeah, I will be saving the openers. This has the scrapers that are on there. We're going to inspect those, make sure they're okay. I did not purchase any of those scrapers, but if I need to, they're not really that difficult. I think they're the little wheel scrapers or the little replaceable end scrapers, which you can get from John Deere. Now, the one major issue that I have, and I don't like at all, is these closing wheels. Closing wheels will be completely changed over. They will not be the rubber closing wheels. If you see right here, there is major slap in those closing wheel arms. I bought the kits to rebuild these. These are the wobbly type repairs. You know, when you don't have the bushings are shot. They're just junk. And even the bushings, you know, not only the bushings are shot, but these arms are shot, and they're very expensive. To buy this piece here, it's like $90, $100 just for this piece, and then of course you got to buy the new closing wheels. Well, I'd rather spend $150 on 2 closing wheels and rebuild the closing wheel arm. These are the adjustable ones. Obviously, I have springs. Ugh. I do have the springs, but you can see the wear on these is just absolutely phenomenal. It's bad. And they have the adjuster on that side and no adjustable on this side. So what do you think is happening? It's just flopping around. It's what you call the floppy cock, that thing. So I'll show you what I've bought to repair that. Now, this is going to be a complete no-till system. No-till corn planter planting into green cover. You're probably wondering what I'm going to use for a front coulter. There will be no front coulter on these row units. What happens with a front coulter is it takes the weight off of the row unit itself and actually allows the disc opener, to raise up out of the soil, and then you don't get the proper depth. So that is why I have no desire or no ambition or no reason to put a opener on, or a front no-till coulter. I was thinking about putting on a row cleaner, but the row cleaners I had problems with last year. Now, there is this issue here, but somebody has fixed that. What happens with these is very simple. You'll go into a valley, and this is a flex frame, but they will overflex the frame. It'll bottom out here and or on the bottom, but mostly here. You can see how it's bowed. Maybe you can see how it's bowed. You can see it's bowed. So that means that this unit here, these 6 rows here, and the whole entire frame was down in a valley, and this here was up on the upper side of the valley, and it did one of these. Got up on a pretty steep angle, and it broke that. So whoever did it, they fixed it, and they did a good job. This has the shutoffs, the clutches for the 6-row shutoffs. This one's disconnected for some reason. I have no idea why. I will be chasing that down, figuring that out. There's something there that is a little bit weird. Something there that's a little wonky. I don't know what that is, but there's a bolt stuck in there, and I got a feeling that that's okay, but something got bent and they did some work to it. Maybe they didn't do it properly, but I'm going to fix that. And it's going to come in to be done. So what did I buy? What did I buy? The seed meters. Let me get my seed meter remover here. The meters themselves are they're the John Deere meters, but the guts, the internal guts to those meters is Precision Planting E-sets. All of them. They're all E-sets. So if they're E-sets, that's okay. I don't know. They're fine. They're good. So I'm not going to bother with the meters. As long as my vacuums work, and I can get somewhere around 8 pounds of, 8 pounds of vacuum or water, whatever they call that. I think they call it water. As long as I get my 8 pounds, I'm good. The other things are, there's mercury switches in here. This looks like it has leaked. I don't know how often they've used these. Whether they were using them. I don't think they were, because you can see there's dirt built up on there. I think they went to GPS, in which I will be doing as well. Yes, I need about 8 inches of water, is what they call that. A maximum pressure, 15 pseig. These were calibrated too. Anyway, yeah, let's get a little closer look on this bolt. I don't know, is it just me, or is that thing... Oh, there was a bushing in there, so something got wonky in there. No big deal. They're supposed to be flat washers, and they stuck. Yeah, they're supposed to be flat washers, and they, you know what they did? Honestly, I think they broke that out, and then they re-welded it and put the bushing in, and instead of putting flat washers, they put lock washers in there, which is dumb. I'm gonna have to pull that apart and fix that. But there's always something with these machines when you buy them used. I do not have individual row shutoffs. I have no intentions of buying individual row shutoffs. The transmissions are here. You see, right there. There's transmission there. There's transmission there. So I guess if I wanted to run different seating rates on one side versus the other, I could. I may do that just for the gits and shiggles, you know. For the most part, though, this planter is in exceptionally good shape for its age. It is a 1992 model. It's a late 92. It's not. It's a 1992. Pre-92, there were differences that this one doesn't have. This has the 92 model ones. The one thing that I wish these were, but they are not, and wishes don't matter, is that I wish they were the newer style row unit. This here is still a pressed steel row unit, but in good shape. There's no issues that I can see with it. There's this nonsense, which will have to be rectified, and I saw quite a few of those. It must be a common issue that the E-clip comes out and they put... Is that an E-clip or C-clip? That's a... Not a C-clip, that's a, yeah, compression clip. Oops, somebody's after me. All the new Keaton seed firmers and stuff, those will be done. Is there transmissions back here? There's not. So the transmissions run on the outer rows. As you can see, this one here has been welded as well. This one wasn't broken as bad as the other one. But whoever did it, they did a fine job. They fixed it. I don't have fields like that. I don't have fields with huge valleys in them that would cause that. No, I just don't. The one thing I am a little concerned with is when I go to put that downforce thing in here, because that downforce gizmo, it needs to bolt to here and here. I'm going to have to put a washer behind it, because this is the air vacuum model. It's the vacuum seeder. I'm thinking that we're going to have some issues, just a few. But I'm going to have to get this thing hooked up pretty soon to make sure everything works. And what the fuck is this about? It looks like a broken piece off of the back of the row unit. Right? And why would that be there unless somebody messed with it? Yeah, it goes right in there where the seed tube is. I got all new seed tubes to go in there. And anyway, there's going to be some parts that I'm going to need. The row units towards the front here, there was a crack in on the other side. Let me take a look here. They were cracked. A little, oh, right here. You can see it. Right here, there's a tiny crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a round hole right there, and I'm going to put a small bead of weld on each one of those. Oh, it's not there. It's on that side. I thought I saw a couple of them like that. There's one. So for whatever reason on the outer ones, they did that. But I got a lot of work to do on this thing, and I don't have a lot of time because it is going to be April 1st here pretty soon, and that means it's June 1st. You know, it's just one of those things. Okay, so first off, all new disc openers. Let's talk about these here for a minute. When I went to buy these disc openers, there's two different kinds you can buy. These are the 3.5 millimeter disc opener. These are made in the USA. They are Shoop. I got all my stuff from Shoop this year. Shoop makes quality stuff. I know there's some people that say, oh no, Shoop don't work that good. Shoop works great. So you can look, there's the part number, and as you can see, USA is on there. These have the heavier duty cast hub versus the older models. Even John Deere has the pressed hub. I don't know if John Deere offers the cast hub or not, but there's 48 of them in here, and they're going to have to get put on there pretty quickly. There's these little gizmos here. I love to show these things because I just like to show my decisions, and I'll explain to you why I make those decisions and my reasoning behind them and what they do for the folks that do not plant corn. Now, as most of you know, I had taken a hiatus from planting corn for several years, 5 years, and now I'm back into planting corn, mostly because I missed it, and I don't regret it at all. So what this is, okay, what this is a slicer. So at the bottom of the disc opener, there is a guard scraper, internal guard scraper thing. And with that is very heavy. It's not cheap. They're not cheap, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a seed tube. So this seed tube has to be protected by something, right? Because if you don't protect it, a stone or something can come in and catch it and break off that little hook that you may or may not be able to see right there. And the other thing that I noticed over the years is, you know, from planting corn for many years, is that when your soil, we have clay soil, and clay soil is kind of funny. What will happen is once the openers open, dirt or soil will collapse back into the trench, and that seed has to come down the tube, and you want it at the very bottom of the trench. So the very bottom of the trench can vary. It can vary. So this little guy here, which is called a Keaton seed firmer, I'm going to open it up, so give me a second here. Give me a second. I'll try to edit this stuff so that it's all kind of seamless, but if I don't, you get to deal with me not editing, and that's just life. Okay. So I'm going to pull this guy out of here without just losing all my giblets. Okay, so this is a Keaton seed firmer. These things are great. They've been out for about 25 years or so. I've used them for many years. And what this does is it's like a three-part system here, right? So this is how it looks inside the planter. So what happens is this piece here, the disc openers are over the top of this whole assembly here, all three of these pieces. And this keeps that seed trench, it slices any of the crumbled soil out of the way for that seed, so that seed can drop all the way to the bottom of the trench. And this little guy here, which is attached to there, is spring-loaded by the plastic. It's flexible. This firms that seed into the bottom of the seed trench. So when you just have a regular guard, it has none of this. It's about half the length. It's not even half the length. It just goes to the bottom of the tube. Nothing will hit this, the disc openers. I've never broke one off. I've never broken any of the bolts or the pins. I've never had any problems with these things. They slice through any of the soil that has collapsed back into the seed trench, allowing that seed to get as far down into the bottom of that trench as possible. Now, the reason you do that is because you do not want corn to pop up at a different time than its neighbor. So if it does, it then becomes a weed. to itself. Corn is really funny that way. It becomes a weed to itself. So when it shades, when one comes up, say 3 days later, you can get away with a day and a half, 2 days maximum. But once you get to 3 days after its neighbors pop up, the neighbors will treat that as a weed. It will shade it, and it will never produce anything, and that seed is no longer viable. So the name of the game is to get everything to emerge at the same time, right? So with that slicer, this V slicer or that slot slicer, that will aid in getting that seed to the bottom of the trench and getting it to emerge in a timely fashion. My wife is yelling for some reason. Let's see, what's she doing? What is that crazy Asian doing? What are you doing? So there's been some minor improvements over the years with seed tube technology, right? What can possibly be great about a seed tube, right? You know, what can you do to a seed tube that makes it better? Well, for 100 years, not quite 100 years, but for a very long time, John Deere made these seed tubes, and no other company made them until, I would say, Precision Planting started making them properly. So as you can see, it's square here, right? Right there, the edge, it's square. And John Deere always made theirs square all the way to the bottom. Well, that seed can ricochet and slow down as it goes down the seed tube, and then actually bounce out of the trench. So what Precision Planting did was they actually made that, I don't know if you can see it, but they made that rounded at the bottom, so that seed, it comes down and it can ricochet, but it continually narrows, and then by the time it gets to the very bottom, its ability to ricochet is limited by that rounded seed tube. So that's one major improvement. When we went to these, even before we went to the Precision Planting meters, it was a game changer. We really noticed a huge difference. And we're talking back in the 90s, I went to those. New chains, all new chains for the row units. These are cheap. They're about 10 bucks. So there's $240 for all brand new chains for the year. Done. What else do we have? Of course, we have the Keaton seed firmers. And then there's these giblets that are in here. That hose is fertilizer hose that connects to the Keaton seed firmers. Let me get this thing over here so I can actually... Seed sensor brushes. I had broken one of the, well, I didn't break it. It got broken when I bought the corn planter. These are new T-Jet 2-pound of pressure nozzles, so so that it goes where it belongs. The amount that you're putting on the fertilizer, your pop-up or your starter goes on, and that connects to these Keaton seed firmers. These Keaton seed firmers shoot the juice to the side so that it doesn't get in direct contact with the seed. Of course, I broke one of these was broken, so I bought a couple of spares. And then there's these. These are the closing wheel arm kits. It's made by RK Products, Copperhead Ag. You have to weld this little guy here into the hole of the closing wheel arm. You should press it in the back and weld on the top and the bottom, and then it's run on a bearing. So that's how you fix these. And this is like, I think it's like $30. These are like, I think $30. Yeah, it's about $30 for this versus $100 bucks for the closing wheel arm without springs. So I got those. All new bushings for, there's different size bushings, width bushings for the parallel arms for in there. Caps for the, caps for that. Caps for the closing wheel or the openers. And what else is there? I think that's about it for that. Oh, and then there's this big ugly box. This box here. And if you haven't guessed what that is the down pressure. And I'm sure right now, at this very moment, there is somebody typing, "Oh, you should have got the pneumatic ones. They're like way better than those spring ones." Well, you're right. Maybe they're better. I don't know. I don't know if they're better. I don't care to know if they're better. I can tell you that these were about a third of the cost of the pneumatic ones, and I'm okay with that. I had to buy 24 of them because there were none on that thing. So yeah, that's just the way it goes, right? That's just the way it goes. So yeah, now I just have to figure out how they go on there. I know how they go on there. They kind of, I got it pretty well put together. I don't know if I got it upside. I do not have it upside down. So this is the direction. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this thing up here. I'm making this video too long. Ugh. So that's how that goes on there. Right? That's it. Just like that. So there's 2 bolts and 1 bolt. So these 2 bolts go in, and then there's that 1 bolt. I thought I needed a washer, but I don't think I do because there's a lip there. This is for the pneumatic, or the pneumatic seed, the vacuum seed gizmo. And you just adjust. You can adjust this as to how much pressure you want on your parallel arms. It goes from like 0, which is where that's at now, all the way up to 450 pounds of pressure, downforce pressure. The pneumatic ones can probably go even higher, but you got to understand, my corn planter has the old pressed row unit. It doesn't have the new cast row unit. So those pneumatic things, or those pneumatic downforce, are probably great, but if you put too much pressure on there, you could probably cause a little bit of issues with those pressed row units. And as I need row units, if I need row units, you see, I'm 50 years old. In the next 15 to 20 years, I'm probably still going to be running this corn planter in 15 to 20 years. I have every intentions of completing my life, my career with this corn planter. I can rebuild it as long as Shoop makes parts, as long as Deere makes parts. I will make this corn planter plant corn, along with the 7000, both of them. They will both be putting seeds in the ground for at least 15 to 20 years. My sons, if they take up the torch, then they can use them as well. Or they can go buy brand new ones, which will be $1 million at that time, because right now we're not far from $500,000 to replace that corn planter with a new one. Yeah, with a center seed delivery. I know there's somebody who's going to say, "Oh no, those are cheaper." Yeah, they are cheaper, but a hopper box 12 row or 24 row corn planter, 16 rows, 430,000. 24 rows, you're looking at almost $500,000 for a corn planter. The center delivery one, $500,000, something like that. Very, very, very close to that. Oh, and if you want a John Deere, don't plan on going down to the local John Deere dealer and buying a corn planter today, or tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or the following year. They're so backlogged on brand new corn planters, I shouldn't just say corn planters, but on planters, that it will be 2025 before your order today will be filled. You may not get a 2025 corn planter by then now. So yeah, and by that time, they're just going to be so incredibly expensive. I don't know. Is farming going to be profitable with those kind of numbers? The tractor to pull it, the tractor to pull it is way higher, and everybody's getting the same price for their grain. Doesn't matter if you're pulling a $500,000 corn planter or a $22,000 corn planter. Because I took advantage of the 10% discount, and what do I have in there? I think the bill, by the time it was all done, was just shy of $12,000 after the 10% discount. So that'll tell you how much I spent. Yeah, $1,400 off. Yeah, it was just shy of $13,000 or $12,000. It was something like that. 13,000 some odd dollars for those parts, for all these parts. These were expensive. These were like $290, $280, but I can't remember what they were. Well, why do I need to remember? I think I have it right here. I do. So those downforce, $249,500. They were $6,000 for these, for those downforce. Now, if I was going to put the pneumatic ones on, they would have been more than double that. More than double that. So here's the bill. That's a bill. $11,775. That's what the whole thing was. That's what the whole thing was. Woohoo! Wow. Crazy. But such is life, right? That's what you got to do. These are the cost of being a farmer. Any non-farm folks think that farming is easy and cheap? Guess again, ladies and gentlemen. You can spend $1 million in an afternoon like nothing, and then wonder where in the hell the money went, or how you're going to pay it back. So I think I've got everything checked off of here just about. The only thing I haven't really looked at were these yet, because there's two different sizes of those. There. Go ahead, Tim. Finish it out. What's that? Hogwarts alumni? You're Gryffindor? Yeah. When the hell did you get that?
Paul and Scott got it from me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
Well, they were down in Florida. They went and stopped in Disney.
Oh, they went to the Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's a box of money right there.
Yeah.
Which I forget what I paid, $32 a piece for them fuckers, just to open up dirt. Well, without those, you don't plant corn. Anyway, goodbye.